The means of defense against foreign danger historically have become the instruments of tyranny at home. The advancement of science and the diffusion of information is the best element to true liberty. The purpose of separation of church and state is to keep forever from these shores the ceaseless strife that has soaked the soil of Europe in blood for centuries. There are more instances of the abridgment of the freedom of the people by gradual and silent encroachments of those in power than by violent and sudden usurpations. Philosophy is common sense with big words. The truth is that all men having power ought to be mistrusted. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The accumulation of all powers, legislative, executive, and judiciary, in the same hands, whether of one, a few, or many, and whether hereditary, self-appointed, or elective, may justly be pronounced the very definition of tyranny. It will be of little avail to the people that the laws are made by men of their own choice if the laws be so voluminous that they cannot be read, or so incoherent that they cannot be understood. Americans have the right and advantage of being armed, unlike the citizens of other countries whose governments are afraid to trust the people with arms. I cannot undertake to lay my finger on the article of the Constitution which granted a right to Congress of expending, on objects of benevolence, the money of their constituents. Charity is no part of the legislative duty of the government. Religious bondage shackles and debilitates the mind, and unfits it for every noble enterprise, every expanded prospect. History records that the money changers have used every form of abuse, intrigue, deceit, and violent means possible to maintain their control over governments by controlling money and its issuance. No nation could preserve its freedom in the midst of continual warfare. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, oblige it to control itself. Knowledge will forever govern ignorance, and a people who mean to be their own governors, must arm themselves with the power knowledge gives. Equal laws protecting equal rights, the best guarantee of loyalty and love of country. All men having power ought to be distrusted to a certain degree. Where an excess of power prevails, property of no sort is duly respected. No man is safe in his opinions, his person, his faculties or his possessions. Learned institutions ought to be favorite objects with every free people. They throw that light over the public mind which is the best security against crafty and dangerous encroachments on the public liberty. The means of defense against foreign danger historically have become the instruments of tyranny at home. As a man is said to have a right to his property, he may be equally said to have a property in his rights. The operations of the federal government will be most extensive and important in times of war and danger, those of the state governments, in times of peace and security. If tyranny and oppression come to this land, it will be in the guise of fighting a foreign enemy. Liberty may be endangered by the abuses of liberty as well as by the abuses of power.